But today's topic is basically what last week's topic was supposed to be on until we got my people weren't with me, so I got thrown off my game. So, they wanted to talk about Trump the whole time, and we don't do the politics over here, but yeah, it's basically on the cooning side of the game of these entertainers that have influence and how they use their influence to really demean our people, basically, and they rather coon than to uplift our people with their platform. We also will talk about Nick Cannon's last YouTube class with Kanye West on basically just recapping the things we already have been talking about. They kind of touched on, which is funny because it seems like somebody is watching us in that realm, because we touched on the subject and nobody was talking about abortions, when Kanye did that. Nobody wanted to touch on that part of the Kanye rant, and we went ahead and touched on it. And now Nick Cannon brought Kanye on, and then that's what Isha talking about. You started, yeah. So yeah, we just build on that. But first of all, I want to thank y'all for being back. I'm happy to have my girls back. I swear I was telling Tai how they threw me off last week. It was hilarious. It made me, and I have to apologize for calling the sister, what's her name, Camilla Harris, out her name. I called her out her name last week, and I shouldn't have did that. I should have called Joe Biden out his name. I should have called Donald Trump out his name, but not the sister. So I wanted to apologize about that. That was out of my character right there. But basically, I'm not into the politics, so I kind of flipped out because they kind of ambushed me. They ambushed me last week. I wanted to talk about this subject.
Sound like you guys didn't have much balance last week, right?
So you listened to it.
Energy to kind of balance you guys out. Too much. Y'all needed some estrogen.
Yeah, we really
conversation.
We definitely needed that Holy Spirit presence, which is the Black woman. So, and it did what it did, to where they got off the podcast a little bit early. They energy wasn't right. It didn't mesh well with mine, basically, like how we mesh. And it kind of threw me off to where I had to just go on a little storytelling thing at the end just to close out the podcast about me breaking my ankle and being a hard-headed kid. But yeah, so how y'all weekend though? Y'all been going in hard this week.
Yeah, man. Just trying to raise this, raise this financial literacy, man. That's what we've been on. That's what we continuously gonna be on. I mean, I know there's different aspects of the battle to be fought, but this is my niche right here, man. Financial literacy and, just head on, just clashing head on with this generational poverty. That's pretty much what I've been on. Well, myself and my business partner and sister, Veronica Coney, that's what we on. We got to raise the bar, so to speak, raise the, awareness about how important it is for us to start owning things. We need some ownership going on around here. So,
right. How you doing, Veronica?
I'm doing pretty good. Me and Tai, this week been a really fun week, a really educational week. Me and her has been growing and developing in so many ways. We call ourselves hitting the concrete. We hit the streets this week, and it was
boots on the ground.
We have boots. She called it boots on the ground, talking to the people. So really just getting to know people, and really trying to just do the self-development thing, try to get better and better and better at what we do.
Right.
So it's been.
I know every time I contact y'all,
it's been a good. So that's why I'm enjoying the process. You say what, John?
On my side, you frozen, like you rolling your eyes. Well, what's good with you, brother Mike?
I'm good, brother. And I, like to say peace to Sister T. Cole. I think she had come on briefly when we were talking 2 weeks ago, and I think she caught briefly when I was talking about that our sisters have been taught by this system, you know, to not have any confidence in us as black men, and how unfortunately a lot of our sisters have followed, you know, have lost confidence in us, and a lot of times, even though there's an underlying reason why, you know, that a lot of our sisters have lost confidence in us as black men, and the underlying reason why is that there was an interloper, there was a interferer, you know, an oppressor, you know, who tore us out of our loving embrace and support of one another. So I think she came in when I was talking about that division, and she spoke about, you know, the fact that it's not all women who are on that type of time and that type of frequency. And I wish that she could have stayed longer, you know, in our dialogue. And so I'm happy that you're here today. I just want to say briefly, you know, me and Sister Veronica build all the time. As a matter of fact, we were on the phone for about an hour and change just a little while ago. And I've always told Sister Veronica, or anybody that I'm talking to or talking with that has any level of consciousness, I always say, like, damn, we should have taped this conversation, you know, or we should have recorded this, or, you know, this is a podcast. This is a podcast by itself, you know, and just like the conversation, we on the phone for an hour, we talking about various challenges and conditions that our people are suffering through and striving to struggle through. So I feel like highlighting a couple of things that came out of our brief conversation to introduce it to this conversation. There's definitely a role for us all to play in our redemption, you know, in our liberation, and in us, and not just in our redemption and liberation from what has been done to us by the so-called oppressor, but just in general for our lives as individuals. We were all born with unique talents, skills, and gifts, you know, according to what that inner urge or desire, or even if you want to, and I believe so, that a lot of times your skills, gifts, and talents have a lot to do with what time of year you've been born in. You know, I know myself as a Pisces, there are certain skills. I mean, there are certain like traits, you know, that are endemic of people who are born at the time of year that I'm born in. We are empathic. We are very sensitive. You know, we feel people's energy. You know, as a matter of, we're drawn to people's energy. And a lot of times we feel the pain of the world, and we feel the pain of people that we care about, you know, in particular. And we are driven to strive to do something about that pain, where we absorb it, and we have to figure out a way to address it, because to get it out of us, or to process it so that we can move on from that pain and try to help other people to move on from that pain. So I think that this is one of the reasons why I have this drive, this inner drive and compulsion to be a student, to be someone who strives to teach, someone who tries to encourage and inspire, you know, people to move on from, you know, being stuck in their victimization or in their suffering. You know, it's something that I can't help doing. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we need healers, we need teachers, we need warriors, we need, you know, the sister talked about, she has this drive for financial literacy, to learn about financial literacy and to teach financial literacy. That's definitely a strong need of ours, so that we won't continue to be dependent, you know, on other people, you know, for our food, clothing, and shelter. And on top of that, the money, you know, that we need to be able to buy other people's products, man, you know. So we need to learn a lot of things, man, and even more so than what I'm able to think of off the top of my head, you know. So the key element is, okay, we all have a role to play. That's one. And we should strive to master you know, whatever role that we find and determine is our role, we should strive for the highest level of mastery in that role that we can achieve. And at the same time, we have to have a level of appreciation and respect for other people and their roles. No role is more important than the other role. You
Right.
know, every
Both
every
sides.
role, every role is needed in order for us to build this we that we always talk about. We talk about this we, but we haven't learned how to build the we and maintain the we. And this is part of, I hope, what I'm talking about right now. The how we can move towards building that we and maintaining that we is, first and foremost, you need to start with yourself and strive to build a level of self-mastery within yourself, in your life as an individual, and with whatever the professional the professional skill set that you're striving to master and bring to the family. You need to focus on that first and foremost. Don't focus on what somebody else is doing and, whatever. You make sure you stay on code and you stay, moving, and then strive to link up with other people who have compatible skills or a compatible mindset. Like Sister Veronica's always trying to get me to be more technologically sound. And I said to her just a little while ago, like, yeah, I am learning I am learning more, but what I do is unique. Most people don't do what I do. Most people are not students, not just our struggle, but also of universal laws and our responsibility to rise up and power through those universal laws. A lot of people don't do what I do. You know what I'm saying? So my role is needed, and that's my primary responsibility and my primary what I'm attracted to the most. So let me be who I need to be, because what I do and what I offer is needed. And if you're the technological person, I want somebody that I can go to when I have a technological need. And I feel like I'm talking too much, so I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna finish
You
off.
good. You good. Listen, last time you
good. You
are
good,
very
bro. Keep on
powerful
going.
and you have the voice. Let me tell you that. You have
Yeah.
that voice. You have that
Yeah.
voice that our people will resonate with. You have a seriousness in your voice. It's a passion. So when you speak, the reason why we sit back and let you have the floor, because it's hitting me. I want to listen. I'm a teacher and a student. Sometimes I got to sit back and let, somebody else teach me, because you speaking and you speaking fluently. So I want you to speak. So the people that do listen and the people we trying to reach, they understand that we mean business. It's all fun and games, but it's a seriousness when it comes to our people. And this is why we got this platform. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. You're not speaking too much. Last week I felt they were speaking too much about that Trump stuff. I ain't telling that, but they were speaking way too much. They didn't have nothing to bring to the table to what sparked the convo is. Yes, I let them speak because it just shows the diversity of our people, how our people think, from different places. Some people stuck on the politics of things. We not. We know we don't need them. So we are like-minded people. We trying to get that independentness, that financial literacy, generational wealth, educating our people better, not only on American, education, but our education of our own, because our people are dying and not being remembered and being revered. You see what I'm saying? And that's what we need to do. We got to put that in place. We got to instill that in our people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just I'm just saying.
Okay, see why.
What role, focus on mastering the role that you've been assigned, through the universe, through God, if you will, and through your own respect for yourself and knowing that you are valuable. You're valuable as a human being, and you're valuable as far as your life journey and legacy, and what you have to offer. We need it now in the present, and and on into the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, these conversations are so important that we capture these conversations in video and pictures and books and all types of things. Like, we're not just speaking to each other, we're also speaking to the future. And that's just the point that I want to make. And then having said that, let me come up with some air.
Yeah, so we just basically we build off that pain and suffering because I let it be known, we all damaged, we all hurt. It's always something, like I'm still dealing with a lot of stuff inside that I'm trying to, heal myself, so I could be better for this mission. I can't help nobody if I ain't helping myself and healing my own self. So how can I heal anybody else if I can't get rid of the pain that I have that's from the past? So we basically was just trying to touch on the just the coonery that's going on with certain influenced people, like we could talk about WAP, when it comes to the women. We could talk about just the different kings of how we always battling each other and we want to debate each other on our beliefs and what we know, instead of battling the ops, which is them, the racist white supremacy. They ain't nobody inviting them onto a platform to challenge their theories and thoughts, but we want to challenge each other on our theories and thoughts when we should be able to develop that, because we have been suppressed, and oppressed. So why can't a black king and a black queen be able to develop their own theory and just to grow, to evolve? So we have all these different, influences that's touching the youth and influencing the youth, but not influencing them in the right way to uplift them. It's keeping them stagnant, So I wanted to touch on that and point out a certain people, certain ones that seem like they're blatantly doing it, like it's an agenda. And it's out of control right now, whether it's in the conscious community, whether it's in entertainment, whether it's a director making a certain type of movie and not dipping into another realm to touch on our culture. We always get the same type of, oh, woe is me type of movies. We're not getting really nothing uplifted. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Like what he did for that, like for a comic book character, it uplifted the culture a little bit to where Wakanda is not even a real place, but Wakanda is real. It's called Africa. It's called Ethiopia. It's called that. It's called Black America. That is Wakanda. Wakanda is within. So for them to be uplifted by a comic book character, right? It should be more movies like that, It should be more narratives like that. It should be more books like that. Like, why can't none of our scholars get their books in the American curriculum for Black history? Like, stuff like that, man. It's just a lot of cooning going on.
Mm-hmm. What's well, that?
I know you seen it. I mean, we could touch on the Kanye. That's a little bit later because, that's a different type of cooning, and I'm not calling Nick Cannon a coon, but for Kanye to keep going back and forth, to me, what I saw on that video was a narcissist, who's all about himself. You can look up that word while we do that, Veronica. Narcissist.
Yes, I don't read too much like that word.
No, I'm comfortable. No, yeah.
I ain't too much comfortable because I think that word. I think it was manipulated, but we can look it up. I'm definitely.
Well, who was it? Was it manipulated by us? Because no, I think they had the wrong person as far as that movie when that movie was made. What's the movie that we talking about that they wanted to call a coon? But it's basically.
Listen to the definition. This is Merriam-Webster Dictionary online. It says coon. They got raccoon, but we're talking about coon, used as an insulting and contemptuous term for a Black person. Could we please kill this word? Did you hear that?
You think we should kill?
Yeah, I think we should kill this word because this word is contemptuous. I mean, it's like, we should kill it. I mean, why is we call each other names?
Right.
What's the name called? That behavior needs to stop.
Right.
We need to grow from that behavior.
I mean, we
It's
can
an
learn and
offense.
evolve, but it has to go all the way around. I get what it's a weapon.
It's a
It
weapon
really is.
used from eternally. One black person to another black person is eternal destruction.
Mm.
Why we keep inflicting upon ourselves?
What you think, brother?
There's a couple of things that's flowing through my head right now. Number one, I think that the word that I thought that Sister Veronica was looking up was the word narcissist.
Right.
Oh,
And hopefully,
Look that up too.
sis,
I will.
yeah, please look that word up. When you talk about a narcissist or you talk about narcissism, you talk about a person or an entity that is obsessed with themselves and pictures themselves as better and more deserving of attention than any other person. A narcissist is so in love with themselves that they will begin to hate others who don't show the same type of love. And when I think of a narcissist or I think of narcissism, I think of the system of racism, white supremacy, and white skin privilege. That
Wow.
has, like I said before, has produced and conversely, it has produced a black dependency, a black inferiority, a black self-hatred, and inordinate love for white people and their system, and what has been happening in the last, I would say definitely, when definitely with the election of Barack Obama, and everything that started happening, at that time, because before that time, in the beginning of the so-called new millennium, you had people with the nerve to say that we're living in a post-racial society anymore, and race doesn't matter, and we've gotten past this, and now we can finally begin to interact with one another. And then we had the election of the so-called first black president, and the first black family setting up shop and residence in the White House, and the ish hit the fan, as they say. And ever since then, there's been a polarization even stronger than it was before, of the white narrative, a backlash, just like just like in the 70s, in the end of the 60s and the 70s, you had a backlash of conservatism, with the election of Richard Nixon, and white people polarizing and saying it's about law and order. We had enough of this protesting and all of these marches and all of this stuff. Let's get down to law and order. And law and order meant getting us back to, white dominance,
Right.
Yeah.
So we have the same thing happening right now. You have, the whole thing of why should it be Black Lives Matter? How come it's not all lives matter? That mindset, what about white people? What about us? The whole system, the whole system runs and buttresses and supports and bolsters, white people, and their rights, but the narcissist, again, and I'm gonna end on this. The narcissist loves himself or theirselves to such a large extent that they can't handle other people not loving and obsessing about them
Right.
to the
Absolutely.
same level that they love and obsess about themselves. So this is a big, this has a lot to do with what's going on right now. The white American Eurocentric mindset of narcissism, that we are the blessing of the planet Earth. It's all about us, and as long as you continue to buy into that narrative and exist under that narrative, you'll have a relative sense of peace. It's not a real peace, it's a manufactured peace. You know what I mean? But narcissism is at the root of the white American narrative. you know.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm
And
gonna look it up. Can I go ahead, Mike? Hey, finish what you saying.
So
I'm gonna look
so
it up.
so did
go
you
ahead, brother.
did you get to check that interview out?
Brother, I'm gonna be honest with you.
You don't pay them no mind.
And I don't flow. And this is what I said last week, or the last time I was on. And I want to begin to develop this more and more. You know, there's a process that we can use to begin to move ourselves and help our people to move from being, you know, inferior or believing ourselves to be inferior and dependent. There's a process that we have to go through to begin to separate ourselves and hopefully separate our people from, you know, depending upon that and submitting to that.
Right.
First, you have to be able to deconstruct. And this is what we're doing. We're deconstructing the narrative of racism, white supremacy, white skin privilege, black inferiority, black dependency. We're deconstructing that. You know, we're unveiling truths, and you know that this has been a systematic brainwashing, propagandizing, you know, oppression, you know, of our people. And at the same time, it's been a overinflation, you know, of the white mindset that a lot of white people buy into, you know,
Right.
that they have been the conquerors, they have been the explorers, they have been everything good, you know, and everybody else is dependent upon white people. So we're just deconstructing that narrative. Then you move into, and there's a lot of people who focus on deconstructing that narrative. There are a lot of people who get stuck in the deconstruction of that narrative. And it could, and when you get stuck in the deconstruction of that narrative, everybody who doesn't share that same mindset, you know, that you know, have, sometimes you begin to judge them, you begin to shame them, you begin to ridicule them because they don't share the same type of mindset that you share. You know, now I've gone through the process of deconstructing that narrative, and at one point in time, I was definitely a strong member, you know, membership paid, you know, member of that, you know, of that mindset. But I don't focus on white people, you know, at this point. You know, I don't focus on what they did. I don't even focus so much on what they're doing, even though it's harder and harder, you know, to not focus on what some of them are doing. What I primarily focus on is my ability to reconstruct what we need to be doing as a people, and, you know, and striving to teach our people to love themselves and to take care of themselves and to develop themselves. So I say all that to say, you mentioned Chadwick Boseman.
Yes. Rest in peace, bro.
Me personally, I would love for us to talk about Chadwick Boseman more than I would like for us to talk about Kanye West,
We can
particularly
do
Kanye
that.
West. You know, Nick Cannon, I believe that Nick Cannon, you know, is a good brother. Nick Cannon had his heart in the right place. You know, Nick Cannon took particular stances in their house, using their platform, you know,
Right.
that they went after him. They went after him for taking the stances that they went after him for taking the stances that he took. And they punished him, you know, and stripped him of his platform in their house. And he wants to get that back desperately, I think. And that made him apologize about things that he still probably believes, you
Right.
know. And not even probably, I'm pretty sure he believes exactly everything that he stated in his dialogue with Professor Griff. You know, he couldn't have been as strongly, you know, voicing his opinions as he was on that show if he really didn't believe that, you know.
Right.
So, you know, I think that we should give Nick Cannon
A pass, right?
a pass and have a level of compassion for the position that he took and the punishment that was rendered, you know, to him, you know. And if anything, that should be a bigger call for us, you know, to be able to fund our own shows, fund our own programs, fund our own initiatives, so that we're not dependent, pardon me, upon other people's platforms, you know. So I think that's, you know, that part with Nick Cannon, I would like, you know, we need to discuss. Chadwick Boseman, you know, and his passing and his meaning to us went far beyond just him being the Black Panther. You know,
Right.
the brother was in the midst of becoming a icon, you know, not just as, you know, the Black Panther, but just as an individual, you know, and the types of movies that he played in, you know, the way he conducted himself away from the movies, the interviews that he gave, you know, that brother was
I
different.
mean, just as much as how he, but just as
Yeah,
much as how he handled his cancer, right?
yeah,
That to me was like, you know, to keep it to himself, you know, because he wanted to protect his mom, and it's just the way he handled that, and to be able, because they said he knew 4 years, so that means he did all these movies,
yeah,
knowing that it might be a day he might be leaving here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for him to be strong like that, to keep it to himself, to keep the privacy, like I was saying, to have that superstar realm, the superstar is missing, because the superstar would be private. You know, you wouldn't know too much of it. Was an aura about a superstar. You didn't know much. And that's what he was, a superstar to me, like, because you didn't know much, but you knew what his work was. That's what he laid out in front of us, was his work. He did the 42, the movies I was just talking about that we need more of to have our fallen heroes revered, you know, and not just forgotten, but to be revered, you know. The 42 movie, all the movies, like you said, all the work he has done was needed for our people, needed for our culture. It had meaning to it. So let's talk about Chadwick, you know.
And just briefly, brother, and throw this in there. If you want to talk about Kanye, let's talk about the fact that Kanye, I believe, if you go back to his early career and the type of music he started putting out in the beginning, you know, Kanye was trying to drop knowledge in his music.
Facts.
You know, and he was trying to challenge us. And something happened to him after he said George Bush don't care about black people. You know, something happened. You know, I don't know what happened, but something happened. You know, and he became
I put that
different
video
after
back
that.
up this week on my page. Like, I have put that because, and the only reason why I stick on him, because I know something happened. You feel me? And that's just basically what I was using this for, was because I wanted to show you an updated version of what they'll do to you with Nick Cannon, right? And then you have across the table somebody that we all knew was special, but something happened. Something happened. So, you know, that was just the point of how them two were sitting across from each other talking, but both of them done went through something that's unknown, that changed their mindset, changed their consciousness. Like something, like some people say, oh, it's a clone, but I don't go that far. But to me, I deal with the more mental health side of things, like him not getting the natural herbs and natural things to help that mental state, to where he's taking the over-counter drugs that they feed him, you know, to say he's bipolar and to say he's that. I think everybody's bipolar. Everybody has two identities, you know. Everybody flips out. 1 minute they this way and 1 minute you that way. You know, 1 minute you cold, 1 minute you warm.
Well, I
What
wanted
y'all
to
think, sister? Yeah. What's up,
I
Isha?
just wanted to comment.
We got Isha checking in, y'all. So
I just wanted to make a comment in regards to brother X, brother Mike, in regards to what is the brother named Nick Cannon. I'm all for the compassion and you know, empathy. But in my mind, I'm thinking we should use them as a template for what not to do. You know what I mean? Because you can't go around making it, you know, capitulation seem so, you know, honorable. Okay, like it's the best thing, the best course of action. You know, what does that tell the children or those who looking for individuals to look up to? What does that tell them? What kind of precedent does that set? So, you know, and again, you know, it's like Tiny said, you know, you reward those who do good, but then you give a motherfucker swift kick in the ass when they need one, right?
All right.
You know, yeah, Nick, we still love you. You still family, but check this out. We have to, you know, let these people know where the bus stops. You know what I mean? When they do wrong, we have to point those things out. When they do right, of course, we commend them. We praise them. But, you know, that's pretty much, I just wanted to kind of add that to the dialogue. You know, we have to start holding the people that we hold in high esteem and we revere. We have to hold these people accountable, you know, and let them know when certain actions are not acceptable. So.
All right.
Yeah. Isha, you got something? Everybody mute. I don't know why.
Yeah, you know, I always got something to say, but I be trying to be quiet sometimes.
Go ahead.
But
Go
I'm just
ahead,
now
sis.
getting in and everything like that. But so from what I've gotten so far, y'all talking about this Nick Cannon and
No, we
Kanye
basically
conversation.
building around it. We really didn't even get to that, but I mean, you could speak on it. You know, just speak on it, and we can move on and put our brother up. Let's raise our brother up, Chadwick Boseman. You know, well, let's put his name out there. I feel what Brother Mike X said. I would love to dedicate this episode to him and not have to talk about the drama and the BS, because it probably is BS, and it's probably more important to like I say, somebody as important as Chadwick Boseman, because of the work and the art that he has displayed. We need to have him revered. We need to raise him up, you know. So go ahead and speak on what you know about that, Nick Cannon, and we'll move on that note. I want
Well,
you to get your piece in, though.
as far as the Nick Cannon situation goes, that shit dead in the water to me. I already let it be known how I felt. But I just feel like we really need to understand, like, as far as you go up on a totem pole is as much a scrutiny as you're going to be under. So for us to put our same level on a level as a Nick Cannon, we don't have that level of scrutiny. And we're not going to unless we are given a platform like that. We can say the most crazy shit out of our mouth when it comes to them, and we're not going to be under that level of scrutiny. He has a lot too much, is given much is required. He didn't really know how to come about it. Very passionate about what he believes and how he feels. I can't take that, and either nobody can take that away from him. People can issue apologies all they want, but after what you say out your mouth is said, it reveals how your heart really feels. So at the end of the day, like, even with a Kanye, like, everybody seems like his how his stance have changed over the years. Seemingly, he just had to learn how to play the game. We necessarily don't have to do the same things that those level of people have to, you know, they sometimes succumb to. But yeah, I really feel like he got the buzz out, and he can only do what he can do. You can't please everybody, and for the 50% of the people that you please, you're going to have the other 50% that's in opposition to you. So you have to speak from your heart and do the things that you need to do to make sure that your message is getting out. And I feel like even with a Kanye, that crazy, I don't like that word crazy, is very dismissive. I see everything that brother doing, even with the Jesus shit. And, you know, I don't do that. But I get where that whole situation is coming from. So, Chadwick Boseman, let's do it.
So let's everybody, Veronica, you quiet over there. What you get out of the narcissist thing? What's the definition on the Western side of things? VC.
I apologize, y'all. I'm right here. What you want me to do? Narcissist.
Yeah.
Okay, then I got something to say. Something Mike X said. I'm gonna define this. It says an individual showing symptoms of or suffering from narcissism, such as an extremely self-centered person who has an exaggerated sense of self-importance. Okay, we're gonna go down some. Oh, okay. So sense of narcissism. Then it just goes on to talk about a person who is overly concerned with his or her physical appearance. Or let me find another one. So, I mean, pretty much like Mike X says, a person that's so overly consumed with themselves, right? So when Michael X was talking about narcissism in the system of racism, white supremacy / white skin privilege, I couldn't help but to think about them loving themselves in such a way that makes, I won't say makes, but highly influence us to not want to love ourselves. Because it's counterproductive of their growth, because we so accustomed to being inferior, letting them be superior, right? So I'm thinking about it, like Mike X said, that's the whole scenario of racism and white supremacy. We live in a system of narcissism, right? And sometimes we take on these attributes and work against each other with the same sense of narcissism, right? But why can't we love ourselves, and what would that do to the system of narcissism that's around us? So I definitely want to, like highlight that. And then it goes back to what I said by the word coon, how we use that in such a self-destructive way. You know what I'm saying? It's like we throw words at each other. We do word plays at each other. It's killing us, killing our confidence, killing our self-esteem. It's killing us. So when I say I don't like that word coon, or us calling each other coonery, or any other type of derogatory word of putting us down, we doing what the narcissists do. With the whole system, we just doing what they do.
So what would be a word to describe the people that I was talking about?
How about we just let it be? I mean, at this
point, why do we need to describe them?
Right.
For what? What is that going to do for us? Is that ego tripping on our behalf? Why do we have to be worried about other, like I always say, other people? Why are we not looking within ourselves to figure out how we not going to be like that? And I don't ascribe to like us saying like, oh, these are our role models.